Hello again.
Hello again.
Well, that was a really good. We just had a session on uncertainty. It was really fascinating, guys. So
It was.
maybe
It's
you've
always
already,
fascinating.
maybe you will have already seen it by the time you watch this one. But anyway, Eric, I'm going to give you another choice. Um, uh, how to? We're going to either talk about how to let go of a painful past, the root of self sabotage, how to guide rather than control, the energy flow of money, and the scarcity of illusion. Both the same thing.
He goes, he goes, ooh, and
I
then he goes,
know.
God, Mom, those are good.
I know. I had help.
Um, the money thing. He wants to talk about the energy exchange of money,
Yeah,
and then
now that
there was,
nobody has any money after Christmas, energy flow, just the energy of money, this how scarcity is an illusion, and things like that. Just concepts basically along those lines.
he goes, all of you can re he's like he's acting like wahaha sort of he's been real goofy. He goes, all of you
Of
can relate to
course.
this. That's why I want to talk about it. Um, he goes, but keep that list, Mom, because I like that.
Oh yeah, I will.
He says,
It's my go-to list.
he goes, all right, people, first of all, one thing I want to tell all of you, when you handle money, when you exchange money, whether it's I'm going to get a couple groceries or I got to get new tires on my car, he says, how are you exchanging that money? When you exchange the money, are you exchanging it? I'm grateful I have the money to do this right now.
Mm.
Or is it, shit, money's really tight and I wish I didn't have to spend this money right now, but I am.
Yeah, that one. That's the
Every,
one I feel.
yeah. He says every time you put that energy on the exchange,
Mm-hmm.
you acknowledge the tightness of money or the lack thereof.
Ah,
So you'll continue to manifest the same goddamn thing, he
the
says.
scarcity.
He says he's really fired up about this one.
All right.
Um, he says just because I want people to understand what they're doing
Mm.
with the energy of it. Now, people also say to themselves, um, how can I get more money or how can I increase my finances?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, shit. Think about how you're asking that question. How can I? When am I going to? In asking the question that way, you're acknowledging the lack of it. So
Ah.
manifesting the same thing. It's a vicious cycle, he says. Um, so instead of saying, when am I going to increase my finances? When am I going to get that raise? Um, be he says, as cheesy and cliche as it sounds, he's going like this. He's trying to
Mm-hmm.
make it echo. He says, you really have to start finding your abundance, finding where you're already grateful. Because when you
Ah.
put energy on the abundance you have, you manifest more of the same. He goes, thoughts become real, people.
I know
He
it's
says,
like the universe is so literal. It'll give you exactly what you put out to it. Like you think I'm going to try to get more money. Well, you're always going to be in this perpetual state of trying to get money but never having it.
he goes, God, you're so right, Mom. He says the universe is very literal. So if you say, someday I'm going to be able to, the universe ain't going to respond to someday. The universe doesn't know when someday is. Someday will never come, he
Mm-hmm.
says. Instead, say, again, he's going to use me as an example.
Oh, poor you.
um, Yay! So I have some loans I'd like to pay off, and um, I have told the universe I'm going to pay them off by April.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to pay them off by April. I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you know what? Here it is, January, and right now I'm capable of paying them off if I want to. So I just can't believe how the universe is very literal. He says the universe will respond, but you got to be careful what you ask for, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to know how you're asking it. Um, Also, a lot of you people, when it comes to money, he's so back and forth. This is an issue that can piss him off.
Mm,
He says, and it's also an issue that he's very grateful to talk about. So we'll get to the pissed off part in a minute. But he says, be very careful what you ask for, but in asking for it, do you believe it? Are you just saying, oh, universe, I'm going to be very wealthy by April?
hmm
But if you throw it out there, your energy has to match it.
Yeah.
You can't just verbalize it. He
Oh,
says your
yeah.
energy has to match it. It's like stepping into that frequency of existence.
Mm.
It's like a whole nother channel. It's a whole nother reality, Mom. He says, so he just jumped to why does it piss him off? He just said, well, he kind of sat back and got real casual. He goes, well, people are too driven by it. People are too driven by money, and that
Mm.
he says that orchestrates so many people's actions instead of their heart. Your
Yeah.
heart should orchestrate your actions, not money or the pursuit of.
hmm
And then he sat back and he goes, fuck that. Now, don't get me confused. He says, you can pursue success,
hmm
but just don't let the money behind it change who you are and
mm
orchestrate your actions. Because then what's going to happen is that will become your reality when you exchange and you transfer money with that looseness of who you are. You're not rooted in yourself.
Okay.
So when you begin to exchange money that way, he says you'll find yourself much more lofty, and also the exchange of money becomes much more, he goes, there's that word, uncertain.
Ah,
Uh,
we
so
just did a video on uncertainty, guys. That's why she's bringing that up. Okay. Now,
he's,
I hate to interrupt
yeah, go ahead.
because you're in the flow, but do you have something reflecting from a window or something? I keep seeing these lights going. Is
I
that a
do. I do.
okay?
I pulled my curtains, but it's the traffic going by
I
outside my
figured. I
shop.
figured. Okay. Just want to make sure it wasn't orbs or anything. All right. So, but it seems like the more you give, the more you receive. Can you touch on that?
That's true, Mom. It's very true. There's a lot of energy to that statement. A lot. He says, the more you give, the more you receive based on how you give.
hmm
If you give because you want back, you'll continue to manifest the wanting and
Oh.
um, the absence of what you want. So if you give just because you want to get back, you're going to continue to have the absence. But if you give out of humble gratitude, I'm grateful that I can give this and I have abundance enough to give, you will attract abundance because you gave it in abundance, he says. Um, he goes, think about this. People need to acknowledge what they already have. Because when you do that, when you acknowledge your own personal abundance, you will build it.
Yeah.
It's just it's acknowledging what already exists in your reality.
Okay.
Now, he goes, well, how does that work for people that are really stuck in poverty, that
Yeah.
really have nothing?
Well, they might
Uh,
have a friend. There's abundance in that.
he says that's when, and everybody, even people with filthy riches, he says, you need to not just count your abundance in things, but this is deep and it's hard for people. He says you really have to get inside and find your own personal abundance
Oh.
because things are going to fall between your fingers. But this won't go anywhere. It might change, it might fluctuate, but the colors might change, but your own personal abundance, your own personal love is always here. You can always tap into that. So it's more so saying also don't think of abundance as just things, but it's in here, and this is a part of everything. So realize everything is one, everything's connected. So you have that access to all of that abundance. If you see it that way, he says. So from somebody who's barely scraping by with
Yeah.
nothing, to somebody on the complete opposite end of the scale, know that your abundance is the universe. Your abundance is you and the energy flowing through you as a part of the universe. When you connect to that, he said, hold on to your hats, because then you'll realize your own personal abundance with the universe, and then you'll also see it grow in your personal life.
How do you connect to that?
He says by knowing it's a real completely separate from ego. Again, ego says I have control, I have hierarchy, and I need to understand. But love, when you just step into love, love says I don't have to understand why I'm connected to the trees. I just know that I am. I just understand.
I see.
I am. He says, he goes, tell her love changes everything. He just kind of stopped in his whole spiel, and he says, just tell her love changes everything. So connecting to that sense of oneness, that one source of energy, is really surrendering everything. Surrendering the need, the desires, the wants. That's all ego. He just keeps talking about how for everybody should know that the universe is yours, the trees, the flowers, everything around you, it's yours. It's given to you as a gift. You all have abundance. He goes, you should know that.
Well, what about the person who's hasn't paid their last 3 months of rent, and they could be evicted, and they don't have, they're struggling to put food on the table? What do you tell them? I mean, you got to take care of the human body. The physical body needs shelter and food and things like that.
He says there's a lot that goes into that. And he's going to hit the topics and then he'll elaborate. How thoughts create reality, contract, what you've contracted to come here to experience. And then he wants to talk about hope and hopelessness, because people in those situations kind of cave to feeling hopeless. They don't have any hope left. They're not sure if they can even get through tomorrow. That in itself, he says, part of fearing what's ahead of you coming into the future, I can't pay next month's rent, let alone this month. Think about what you're doing. You're separating from the moment emotionally and energetically when you're worried about what's up ahead, even though it might be a legit concern, he says. You have to stay connected to here, to this reality. Now, in those moments, you might feel very hopeless because you can barely make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But those people, first of all, are here to learn certain things. So that's why they're going through those experiences. But their thoughts and their emotions create that, he says it's what we just talked about, that continuing cycle. If I continually acknowledge what I'm lacking, I will continually manifest that reality of lacking this, that, and the other.
That's true.
But people have to realize they really, truly have personal power to make the changes they want. They don't have to have their friends and family justify changes or new decisions. If it's what you feel in your heart, make those changes, he says.
Okay. So tap into the love. Love is all there is. And then you're tapped into the oneness. If you can try to feel love for yourself, for your friends, your family, strangers, if you can totally immerse yourself in that sense of love, that will help, right?
He says, yeah. He goes, love is all there is. Everything else is just created. It's made up here and in here.
Okay.
It's just a free place. He's singing free as a bird. I'm not going to try to sing for you.
Well, you probably have a better voice than he did. Is your voice better, Erik?
He goes, la 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 la.
Okay, there you go. You sang.
Yes.
All right, so that's good. Thank you so much, Erik. Your wisdom is just amazing. Gosh, it just brings me back to me trying to teach you how to read and things like that, and look what you're teaching me.
He says, I love it, Mom. I love to be able to help people, and I'll never stop.
I know. I know. And thank God for Kim. You know, as always, I'm going to put Kim's information at the end of this video if you want to book a reading with her. She's got all sorts of things like group calls. You can call in and have channeling sessions at a discounted price because you'll be part of a group. That's always fun. And she's just great. So I'll give you that information at the end. Now, also, I want to remind everybody we have a big multi-city Channeling Erik tour of enlightenment. What is it called? The Tour of Enlightenment. No, Tour of
Effing Enlightenment.
I forgot about that. And it's going to go to New York, Orlando, Chicago, Sedona, Vancouver, San Diego,
Colorado,
Austin, and Denver. Yeah, so it'll be fun. Join us. I want to meet everybody and give you a hug. All right, guys. Love you.
Take care, guys.
Bye, Erik. I love you so much. I miss you.
Yeah. Love you, Mom. I'm right here, he says.
I know. Bye.
Bye-bye.